Very much, and thank you for the warm welcome, and Tim for your remarks as well. And Bronwyn, it's good to be here with you. A good local who knows the area well and is on to us all the time. And good to see you over there, Cranky Frankie. So, the good friend of mine for what, 20 years or so? Quite a while. I listened carefully to what Tim said before, and I suppose where I'd start is my attachment to this city and the region goes back to when I was a kid. I think probably unique among Australian Prime Ministers. I've probably been here over the years about 20 times, and I actually know this region reasonably well. Not as well as the one I grew up in southeast Queensland, but there are a few similarities, between the sugar growing areas that I grew up in and this one here too. The big difference is, of course, the enormous diversification which has occurred here in this regional economy through the advent of the mining industry. What I know most, having grown up on a farm, is what it takes to grow a small business. My father started with nothing, and times on the land in those days were a little tough. Since Therese and I have been married, she started a small business with half a secretary in a time when, frankly, we were entering what Paul Keating once famously described as the recession we had to have. We didn't feel that way at the time, being in small business with Therese. 24 years later, in Brisbane, I think she employs about 40 or 50 people, and around the world, 2,000 or 3,000. So you can grow small businesses, and I've got to say, it's tough. I know all about payroll tax from being on the receiving end of them and having to pay them. And I remember when Therese first crossed the first payroll tax threshold, it was a challenging time. Do you stay as a small business or do you grow? And so I have an instinctive sympathy for and sense of the challenges which small business faces, including in regional Queensland. I've read the statistics about this region a lot in recent years. That's why I have been here a lot as Prime Minister between 2007 and 10, and recently again. And because this is an extraordinarily significant region for Queensland and the country's economic future. I thank Tim for his observations last night about the complexity which the Australian mining industry now faces in terms of global factors. What's the external factor we can't control? The external factor we can't control is, in terms of the Chinese market, their demand curve is changing. Slowly but surely but definitively, for a whole range of different reasons. Their domestic shape of their economy is transforming from one which is labour intensive, commodity intensive, into one which is much more consumer focused. That is going to be a long-term process to work through. But it means therefore that the structure of the demand that we've traditionally had from the Chinese, first for agricultural products and then more recently for our mining goods and services, is changing again. I agree with Tim. The investment phase may be coming to an end, which is why I've been warning for quite a long time the mining boom is over. The production phase will continue and then will be subject to normal fluctuations with prices. So what's the real challenge for the country? The real challenge for this region as part of the country is how do we take the permanent wealth which has been added to Australia from this extraordinary boom in the mining sector and use that to diversify the Australian economy, including regional economies like this. And I've been talking to a number of the small businesses represented here this evening on that very subject. That is part of the challenge for the future. I noticed there was someone here from, I think, the renewable energy sector who I was talking to before, and looking at what actually happens with further employment opportunities in that as just one illustration of what can be done more broadly in regional economies like this. So what I would say is that in terms of partnering with the Mackay region and the Mackay Regional Council, if the government's return in this election, I look forward to strengthening that partnership with you in very practical ways which deal with the diversification of your economy beyond mining. And therefore we're up for a robust partnership, frankly. In terms of a few runs on the board, we're a part company, partly with what Tim had to say, because I'm from Queensland and I'll call a spade a shovel as well. Is our investment record here is very strong compared with any previous Australian government. When I look at the investments we are making now for the upgrade of the Bruce, it's $5.7 billion from memory. That's 3 or 4 times that of our predecessors over the length of the period that they were in office. Of course, that doesn't all come here, but it comes to the Bruce more generally. Secondly, when I look at other infrastructure in this wider region, I think when I was last here we talked about the water treatment works. That investment was worth
$157 million.
$157 million, a direct investment into local jobs for an essential piece of infrastructure in this city, which was supported by us. A third. And that's not an area where we've historically invested, but I was taken by the arguments by the mayor at the time as to why we needed to partner with them. We committed that in 2007 and we've delivered it. And I understand it's a very successful project in terms of this region more broadly. When I also look at our investment in education, when the economy was taking a downturn, there's never been a higher level of federal investment in local education than has been under us. $131 million here to the local construction industry in building new libraries for schools, new multi-purpose facilities, as well as a whole bunch of other things, including 5 new science and language centres, and on top of that, a number of trades training centres as well. In fact, 6 altogether, serving 9 schools across the wider electorate of Dawson. Put all that together with nearly 6,000 new computers installed into your local high schools. This has been a very big investment by the federal government, uniquely into the education services of this region. And as well as that, local jobs and local construction services as well. On health, when I mentioned this, we've also been investing, and I see there are folk here from the aged care sector, in supporting additional high care and low care residential aged care places across the wider region. I'm advised here a total investment of some $60 million. Then elsewhere in health, $7 million for the GP Super Clinic in Mackay. And for the national broadband network, which is going to be critical for the future economy in this region, there are 10 going on 11,000 homes and businesses in and around this electorate where the NBN fibre network is currently under construction or complete, with a whole lot more work still to do. So, we haven't just discovered the region. That's a list of what we've been doing, and if you were to compare it dollar for dollar for what our predecessors did, I think it's a pretty good report card. But going to the future, which is the more important thing, is what I'm signalling to you loud and clear is that I believe in the region's future. And therefore, we want to be partners in the region's future. And therefore, my chosen partner everywhere is the duly elected local authority, in this case the Mackay Regional Council, and in close coordination with the local Chamber of Commerce. Wherever I go in regional centres up and down the Queensland coast, I have 3 requests. Number 1, find me the mayor. Number 2, find me the head of the local Chamber of Commerce. And number 3, find me the editor of the local newspaper. And usually between the 3 of them, you'll find out the truth. And because everyone will have a slightly different perspective on what's going on. That's my standard way of operating. Australia's future lies so much in the health and strength of its regions. Let me just finish on one really critical point before I go to a small announcement that we'll make to assist, I hope, the local community as well. And that is, when the National Broadband Network is laid out, and why frankly anyone in regional Australia must support our national broadband network in this upcoming election, is that we will not tolerate a system which has a digital divide between the major cities and regional centres. We will not support a national broadband network which has a digital divide between rich people and poor people, or between big businesses and small businesses. The whole national broadband network, which is the largest construction project in this country's history, is all about making sure that every household and every small business right across the country is wired, so that when it comes to running a business from your home, your small business, you can contact your markets anywhere in the world like that, with high speed, available bandwidth at affordable prices and with complete reliability. And for future of tourism in this region as well, as you're still a gateway to the reef, and frankly that's so important as well. Every Chinese tourist I know, when they ask about where should they go on holiday in Australia, their second question is, and is the broadband first class? Because when they're on holiday, they want to find out what's happening with their business back home, whether the production schedule is on track, or whether there are problems as well. Put all that together, of all the things I've read through, if we are here 10 years' time, you will say, I hope, that if this national broadband network is able to be delivered through the government's return, it'll be the single biggest investment in this region's long-term economic future. It's like when the railway first arrived in Mackay, I presume in the 1890s or in the early part of the last century. It's as revolutionary as that in terms of connectivity to the rest of the world the rest of Australia. It enables people to live in fantastic regional centres like Mackay and use that as their springboard to the rest of the world. That's why I'm so passionate about it. At a very local level, I was also been advised of an outcome of a process which has been headed by the Australian Government's Regional Development Fund. I understand there's been applications or interest here locally in terms of Mackay Regional Gymnastics Facility, and I'm pleased to announce today that we'll be providing $750,000 towards a state-of-the-art gymnastic facility capable of hosting local, regional, state and national gymnastics and gym sport competitions. I hope So we try and do big stuff like the NBN, we try and do little stuff like this, because the little stuff, matched with the big stuff, is often what produces the great results for the future. We understand this will have a seating capacity for 250 spectators with change rooms, a canteen, meeting rooms for coaches, etc. The all-weather facility will also provide a wide range of activities and programs for people of all ages and abilities in the Mackay, Isaac and Whitsunday region. And with more than 10,000 attendances expected every year, this will be a major new amenity for people in this fast-growing region. As I said, from little things, big things grow. I hope this actually assists with local construction as well, particularly as the mining industry comes off a bit. But this will be an important facility, like the investment we've made with the local grandstand, which I visited when I was last here, in terms of attracting more and more major sporting fixtures to this wonderful centre in Queensland's development as well. This comes on top of, I believe, the $8 million allocation we made recently to the Mackay Main Street development, $8.8 million, which we announced in June, on the 12th of June, by Deputy Prime Minister Anthony Albanese. These are the sorts of things that we want to partner with you on in the future, because we think they're great for Mackay, great for the people of Mackay, great for the business of Mackay, and great for the future. So thanks for spending some time with me tonight. I'm launching Bronwyn tonight as our endorsed candidate. I often think when I say that, it's like sending someone into space. And so, but she's a good person, she's a local, and she certainly has her ear to the ground in terms of what's needed here. Thank you for your hospitality.